Fontaines D.C. Skinty Fia album review. Let's chat about it. Hey guys, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning, here to chat about this latest album, the third album from Dublin-based punk rock band Fontaines D.C. And right from the get-go with these guys, just hearing them for the first time blew my damn mind. And, you know, how couldn't it? Leading up to their debut album, Doggerel, they released a lot of singles, one after the other, were super captivating, super urgent, brought a sense of real just energy back to punk rock. And they delivered when it came to, you know, putting out the full album. I thought it was the best rock album of the year, and I named Boys in the Betterland my second favorite single of the year. The hype on this band was real. Now, shockingly so, we heard from them almost less than a year later with A Hero's Death. It was a very, very solid album, albeit a gloomier one. And I did love it. Maybe not as much as I loved Doggerel, but it still was super fresh, super well written, really well performed. Now, leading up to this new album, Skinty Fia, honestly, I didn't really know what to make of the singles at first. There's certainly, as far as singles go from Fontaines D.C, all around, ones that you need to sit with a little bit longer. They're all growers. I didn't have that immediate reaction to them like I did with the music on Doggerel. But I did really enjoy most of them. Let's chat about this thing. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the name of this first track here. Yes, I'm 100% Irish. Look at the beard, but my Irish is a little off. And you know what? This is not what I expected to hear as far as an intro goes. It's a little mellower. Maybe not like mellow, like in the common sense, but much more gloomier this time around. And I love how sparse it is, so bare bones. It just sounds so lonely and gloomy while remaining as hypnotic as some of their stuff from their last album. And honestly, it's really prescient and really vast too. It's on the simpler side of things from Fontaines D.C, but honestly, it packs a big punch. I've loved Big Shot since it dropped as a single. It's big, it's bulky, it's got this monolithic riff, but it's also, once again, really gloomy, almost like goth inspired, which is odd. It's also a lot less hopeful sounding at the end of the day, but it also adds a level of emotion to Fontaines' music that I don't think I've heard yet. Listen, this is a completely new direction for the band on this album, but I think it works really well. And if you're up for that, if you're up for the band trying some new things, taking some big risks, and really taking a completely new direction, try this out. On the other hand, Jackie Down the Line is a sleek post-punk banger. I mean, personally, I needed a little bit more of an upbeat track by this point. That's what we get here. I love some of the guitar trickery that we get on this track, as well as the sonic production that we get, all the while still remaining just as gloomy this time around, just as, I don't know, emotional even. And it's certainly tragic as well. It's really new for Fontaines. And if I knew that going into this album, I don't know if I would have even, jumped on this as quickly as I did. I don't even know if I would have enjoyed it as much as I did. But I will say this, Fontaines D.C. keep things fresh with lively instrumentals, taking different risks as well. And I know that I keep harping on just how gloomy, almost gothic rock inspired this album is. And I know I'm beating it to death probably, but come on. Listen to Bloomsday. This is emotionally suffocating and freaking heavy as hell. There is no hope in sight, but thankfully this track, has enough to fall back on, so it's not one-dimensional. I love the wailing guitars and just how pensive and patient everything comes off. And not for nothing, I think Roman Holiday is the best track here. I love the airy feeling to this track. It's probably one of the lightest tracks here as far as that suffocating feeling that I've been talking about, but only to an extent because it's still just as emotional, but it's also one of the more meditative and hypnotic tracks here. I love the dreamy vocals. A lot of this album just has this dreamy film to it, and I love the guitar to it as well. Be forewarned though, most of this album is excellent and just a really great album under Fontaines' D.C. belt. However, the few tracks on here that are rough around the edges may be some of the worst tracks they've ever put out, ever. How Cold Love Is. What happened here, guys? This is really rough, and you know what? I don't really have a problem with them getting a little gloomy, slowing things down a bit. It's working for the most part. But this is so one-dimensional and half-assed. Hell, it's barely even wrote. It's barely even a song. Not only is this the worst track here, I think this is the worst track that Fontaines D.C. has ever put out. The couple across the way is not much better. Let me tell you, when this album flops, it flops really hard. And listen, it's not like, you know, the band has not put out stripped down tracks before in the past that just come off as powerful as the rest of their stuff. Look at Dublin City Sky. But this is emotionless, void of really any feeling whatsoever, and just boring in one note. Let me tell you, it feels a lot longer than 4 minutes. And I Love You is just, it's alright. I mean, it's not terrible, but I can tell you 7 other tracks here that are much better than this. I mean, as far as slower tunes go, I'd much rather listen to, like, Bloomsday than this. It's just a little one-dimensional. It's not as heavy. It's very average. You know, like, while maybe not the gut punch of Doggerel, Fontaines D.C., though, still have such an awesome sound. Just all around are just doing things that are so great and refreshing to the post-punk and punk rock genre, and this is just another really solid album. Skinty Fia, this album's title track, I didn't think I was going to like it at first. The more electronic production, that pulsating sort of beat that we get here, it's just not what I've heard in the past from Fontaines, and I didn't know if it was going to be my thing. All those things could have worked against them, but honestly, this track's really good too. It's got this big, bulky, hypnotic groove to it. We also get one of the more commanding performances vocally here too. It's just so compelling, it's so crisp. And Nabokov, as a finale, they may have like left the heaviest track here for last. And I mean, like, not just emotionally heavy, but genuinely heavy. This track is almost post-hardcore influenced. It's chaotic at times. It sounds like it can unravel at any moment, but it has the sense of finality that I love to hear on an album. And it's just a really good track if you just, you know, want to hear them freak out a little bit. So yeah, like I said, there are some big risks on this album. It is easily the gloomiest and most emotional and crushing album from Fontaines D.C. And they take a lot of risks here, production-wise, performance-wise, as far as their genre goes. There's a lot of risks being taken here. And I want to say 7 times out of 10, it's a knockout what they do with it. And if you're into hearing Fontaines D.C. do a little something different at this point in their career, check this out. You're probably going to like what they're doing here. Just be forewarned that when this album gets bad, they're putting out some of their worst tracks that they've ever put out. However, the good far outweighs the bad enough to make me feel like giving this a light 8 on this album. But let me know what you guys think down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, guys.